Hello, this is Pro Life Indeed, and I wanted to talk to you a bit about the economics of the abortion issue. Um, Now, some people on the pro life side have said, well, people spend a lot of money on recreational spending, so that kind of weakens the argument that abortion is economically necessary. And I wanted to kind of go into that a bit because there's something really actionable that pro lifers can do to further their objective of making sure that babies survive until birth. Um, so in order to make that happen, like you need to kind of introspect a bit and think, what can I actually do to convince women to not get abortions, right? What can I actually do to make that happen? One charity, my personal favorite, is Save Unborn Life. And Save Unborn Life is a neat one because it was basically made by a woman who worked at a pregnancy center. They kept getting women coming in saying, oh gosh, I don't think I can afford a baby. If I had some more money, maybe I could, but I can barely take care of my rent. I can't afford all of the expenses associated with taking care of a baby. So that was one of the common justifications for abortion that this woman, Laura Murriott, who worked at a pregnancy center, kept hearing. So she said, okay, well, if you need money, what if we put together a charity where we just raise the money to help women take care of their newborn children? And that's actually turned out to be really successful with a lot of donations coming in and then going and actually convincing women to keep their children, to preserve the lives that were growing inside of them. Um, but that's something we have to introspect on. Is like if we can go, or sorry, that is we as pro-lifers, if we can go and financially contribute to help women with their children who are in a difficult financial position, if we can do that, then we probably probably need to introspect on like how we're spending our money and be very cautious about how we do it because we can actually save human lives with a simple investment of dollars. And I think that's something really important for us to keep in mind, like on a daily basis when we're considering how to spend our money. Like there are a lot of little things we like spending money on. Um, as an example, let's look at the American consumption of alcohol. How much money do Americans spend on booze? It's about $90 billion in total annually. So $90 billion, that's a lot of money. It's about $580 per American. So keeping that in mind, like that's one where like, okay, yeah, there are a lot of people out there who could be contributing to this pro-life charity that directly supports mothers who are trying to preserve their children's lives. Um, but yeah, there are roughly a million abortions a year in the United States. Save Unborn Life pays $3,000 to the mothers who give birth to their children after the baby is born. So $3,000, if you were to multiply that by a million babies a year, that would come out to $3 billion. So the cost of preserving those number of lives is substantially lower than just the amount of money people spend on alcohol. So to kind of give you a sense of perspective, like that's $3 billion versus $90 billion. That's night and day. That is a huge difference. And of course, there are going to be someone who will ask for more than 3,000. Understandably, I mean, raising kids is expensive. But yeah, even if you were to make it $30,000 per kid, that would still be way less than alcohol. In fact, if you were to do a very direct conversion, say $90 billion that we're spending on alcohol, if we converted every cent of that into money that would go to supporting mothers who have newborns, who are trying to take care of their children as best they can. If that $90 billion was split up amongst the million babies a year who are aborted, that would be $90,000 per baby. $90,000. Like, you can't, maybe that won't quite be enough for everyone. Sometimes there are going to be crazy health problems and expensive surgeries. But generally speaking, a newborn baby is not going to cost you $90,000 right off the bat. So $90,000, that's a lot of money per baby. That's really significant. A lot of women are willing to keep their baby just for $3,000 is enough for a lot of women. So that's one where if you think about it, like pro-life Americans have a special obligation, because we choose to value human life and to place it in our hearts as something special, something we want to preserve. So I think pro-life people have a special moral obligation because we're going to defend human life. That means that we need to think of ways to actually do that, things that make an actionable difference in the world. And that's really why I make these videos, why I call the channel Pro-Life Indeed, because we need to be taking actions, deeds that will go and preserve human life. And I think that's really important for us to do. And obviously, alcohol is just one of many examples of people spending money pretty frivolously. Like, you don't need alcohol to survive. It's a want, it's something fun. Um, so that's something to keep in mind. Is like we have this ability, we have this economic power. Like pro-lifers, maybe they're not richer than average, but they have at least some money. Like pro-lifers, they represent about a fifth of Americans, at least if you want to look at the people who are pro-life in all cases. Um, so that's one where it's like there's a lot of money. There's a lot of money, within 1/5 of the American population. That's not negligible. So that's something where if you were to have a certain percentage of the American population cut down spending and put that money into saving human lives, you could really save a huge number of them. It's something very significant and impressive, I think. I think that's something that we need to keep in mind as pro-lifers. So I would strongly urge you to look into Save Unborn Life. I believe it's saveunbornlife.org if you want to check out the website, and possibly consider donating if you're in a position, if you're not, on the brink of starvation. I think everyone can contribute at least a little bit of money for this one, especially if you're a pro-life person who really values human life and has wanted to find ways to keep people alive until they can draw their first breath. So I think that's something really important for us to consider as pro-lifers, and I sincerely hope you do think about that a bit and try to find ways that you can actually go and save human lives. You can make a difference in people's lives and make it so that more people will be able to enjoy the gift of life. So thank you very much for watching. Have a great day. This has been Pro-Life Indeed.